flips me a bad body. So, it's another one, yeah. It's a full run, yeah. Oh, it's another one, yeah.
Yo, welcome back. iBoxingHub presented to you by STAYWEIGHEDIN. What an incredible weekend we've had. We're back for another show. Legacy Redefined. Time to bury the hatchet now. But first off, it's your boy Ray, aka Lineal Ray. For those that know, if you know, you know. Shout out to our boy Abbas. He was at WrestleMania in jail last week. He literally landed, went to the presser for Eubank and Ben. Then he went there on the night. He was at the press conferences asking questions. So, you know, you might have heard him in some of the presser. Then he's back down today for Usyk Vs Dubois. That Burnley boy is putting in work. So, you know, shout out to Abbas, of course. But we are joined by an esteemed friend of the show. Simply the best. Next gen. It's only Ashanti in the house. How's it going, Ashanti?
Good evening, dreadlocks.
And the procedure will be parliamentary.
Rastafari, I was always going to be here. It's my son. Yes. Sorry, I was speaking my mother's tongue. Have you ever seen that interview?
Yeah, speaking my mother's tongue. Nah, it's the way he stops himself. Listen, sorry, man. What a moment. There's so much to unpack. Obviously, we're coming off the big result. Chris Eubank Jr. defeats Conor Benn in a match where I believe was made harder by the victor. But what a war it was, what a show it was, and I think is a good thing of showing how boxing doesn't always need to be in the championship to be fun, and more should be done to show this. But where shall we start? Saturday night. What you could even say is we picked Chris Eubank Jr. Shout out to Trey, our guy on the board. Trey, you know, you showed us a picture of him and Eubank Jr. And I said, you know what, shout, look at that. Come on, man. You'd love to see that. The man steering the ship let us know he was Team Eubank. We were Team Eubank. But you already knew the night was going to be special because midway through Liam Smith versus McKenna, in between round 9, I believe. That's how epic this moment was because I was just like, yo. And obviously, shout out McKenna who beat Liam Smith. Shout out, you know, Chev Clark who lost the decision to Vidal Riley. Shout him out. Shout out the gent CBS, Chris Billum-Smith. Always got love for Chris Billum-Smith. But then round 9, it wasn't even to do with the fight. A car pulls in. It's like WWE style. A car pulls in. You know, WWF back in the day, and then you might see Vince McMahon, but it's not Vince McMahon. It's not Triple H. You see Chris Eubank Jr. come out the side, but then the door opens. Chris Sr. with a smile. Oh my! Listen, the adrenaline's pumping again. Ashanti, man, describe when you first saw that. Describe it because I'm the adrenaline. The energy's coming back. I was just like, you could hear the stadium. Wow, what a moment, man. Senior, simply the best.
Well, I have to, I might ruin the moment a little bit, but I was having belated birthday drinks in a very busy pub. And
belated birthday, which is, well, come on, fam. STAYWEIGHEDIN, family. Show my boy Shani some love, man. Belated birthday.
Drinks in the day. And you know, when you, like, I think I'd gone off to the loo to get a beer, come back, and I was like, did I just? And then from there, I think they brought him back on screen. And I was like, he can't lose from here. It is done. It was bad because I was surrounded by people who like boxing, but not, you know, massive fans.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And
of course,
there was just glee on my face. I was just like, everything is right. The dads, and I'm trying not to be too verbose, too over the top about it. But Ray, have you ever had a family member or a friend who's moved to America but come back, or like spent, back at home, and I have it with my granny sometimes. She's not as far away, but she's in Scotland. I don't see her all the time. She lives up, she's not coming down to London every week. And say you're at a family party, sometimes you might drift off from her, but you just want her back sat next to you. Just like, I don't know, just a
nice comforting feeling.
And you could see that with Eubank, with Junior. He was just like making sure that, like, even when his dad was a few steps away, it's like, no, be right on my shoulder. And whether he did it on, like, whether it was a setup or not, that smirk of, yeah, we've got you. And Conor and Nigel can say oh yeah, I wanted him there, yeah, his son, yeah, it was right for the fight. No, that look from behind, when they're looking at the screens and they realise that is a bugger.
Do you know what's funny?
About how he doesn't like it, his dad doesn't even like him, and then at the 11th hour,
it was like, how Chris Jr. is just the epitome of cool. Like, he doesn't do too much smiling. And you can tell, like, the look on his face, it wasn't a smile, but for him, it was a smile. When they first came out of the car, yeah. Like, it wasn't the same. Yeah, that look.
It's a smirk. Smug.
That smirk, yeah. That's a normal person's, like, grinning teeth. That's a normal person's grinning. He don't smirk like that.
He's let off balloons, the fireworks for him.
Yeah, like,
because he's so stoic. It's the happiest I've ever seen him. Even like warm, just the whole time. Every time they cut him, you could just feel that confidence and actual happiness. Like, it was comfort. And there's nothing like old friends who you've known a long, long time, or your family. You can't. It's like they say, there's no place like home, and all of that. Those kind of idioms. Certainly, he had his dad there. Obviously, his sister's in his corner, aka the future Mrs. Frank Smith. Yeah, it was.
Listen, man,
that was the moment of the night. I know we'll talk about the fight.
Yeah, listen. There's so many people. This is when I told people about when people want to talk about boxing stars, and a lot of these social media people, like these. So I call it vanity metrics of social media. There's very few boxers that can garner that amount of response. Well, even former boxers, that's star presence. Like, your parents know this man. Your auntie and uncle that don't watch boxing, they know him.
I had friends that have no interest in any sport really, and still know everyone knows who Chris Eubank Sr. is.
They know Senior. That's star, and he hasn't become a star by just pandering, or he hasn't become a star by stupidity and. Like, no, that's a genuine. I know I'm a star, so I might act like it. And like, man,
can we name 10 in British boxing that are alongside him? AJ, Tyson Fury, all time. I mean, in the last 50 years, obviously Bruno, Lewis, David Hay, I would put up there. But after that, the number starts dwindling. Like, I think
David Hay broke into it.
David Hay's a big star. Imus Leb and all of that, and Amir Khan.
Amir Khan. We can't forget King Khan.
He's big, but we started off fast, but I think I listed almost all of them. There's not loads after that.
There's not too many.
Guys we can name, Tony Bellew, all these world champions, none of them are getting, like, trust me, if they were walking down the same street, Chris Eubank Sr. would be getting mobbed. He is just...
in the last, you could say the last decade, and, Senior's a man of the people, so he'll just be out and about. There's so many people throughout my chat that I'll tell you over the years. Oh my gosh, I just saw Senior and a small chat with him. Like, people love to let you know that, yo, I saw Senior and I had a chat with him. Like, I saw him. Like, that is superstar. And
my friend said he saw him in his gym in Greenwich, like, in the past couple of weeks, and he sent me a picture of him just stood on this kind of like balcony, just being Senior, just being regal. And I was like, yeah, this is exactly how I imagine he looks. I imagine he like trains in like one of those cut-off sleeveless shirts, not like a bow tie, just getting his work in.
You know what? Oh man, yeah. Listen, long live Senior, man. We can go on and on, but let's get to it. Main event comes. Oh no, there's one little side road, another side quest. Do you know where I'm going with this?
I hope I do. I hope we're in the same place. Ring
Billy
entrance.
Joe.
Oh. Sorry, we weren't in the same place.
Wait.
But
Where were you going with it?
I was just going ring entrances. Two of the best I've
Oh
ever seen.
no. We're not even before that.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to give this too long, but it was just, I feel like, even that, I feel like that was just the authority of senior letting them know, don't let this guy even come and distort your energy. Billy Joe Saunders, who's made a presence since the Canelo defeat, decides he wanted to, Conor Benn tried to do the mind games of saying Billy Joe's going to be the one to check the gloves. And then shout out Napa, come on, man. East London.
I guarantee you.
Legendary verse.
Yeah.
Legendary verse on Power. He told him, ain't none of you getting in. I guarantee you that. Billy Joe tried to say he's a nobody, and with the swiftness, he didn't even care. He said, you're a nobody. And it was so funny because Billy Joe's voice changed. He said, who do you think you're talking to?
Yeah.
And I
Now,
said,
handled him as well. Like what I love is same as big boxers like heavyweights. When you're bigger than the bouncers, he literally stood up over the bounce. He was like on his own, like a head height above everyone else. Like, if it's go time, Billy. When Billy was like, "I'll see you outside," it's like,
I'm not scared of you.
Put you up against the
And
wall.
that's not to encourage. I wouldn't encourage the public to go start five, even if it's ex-boxers. Don't be doing that because they're still dangerous. But it was just funny to see. The optics was just funny to see, and I love the energy of like just that's a big fight. Now that is showing you even the most littlest of things, like someone trying to do a glove check and they'll say no, the right person's doing it. You're not doing it because we can't have you bringing our energy down. But the entrances.
No, I'm sorry. I've got to say, I don't want to bring the tone down, but some of what Billy Joe was saying, people may not agree, but some of those things, 100%, the minimum you can say are racial undertones. I
we know where it's coming from.
People watching, everyone knows when a certain people say rubber. Like we know what.
There's people in denial that want to be like, oh, how's that racist? Ask yourself, why has he said that? What is the origins of why he's saying that?
Yeah.
So all the people that are just like, oh, well, you lot make everything racist. What is the reason why he says such an old school? That is such an old school insult. Like that's even before my time.
Since I was a child, I was like,
yeah, that's like before our time.
I thought I was watching This Is England or something. It was like, but you said it completely correctly.
Yeah.
If you want to have a go at him, call him a broad, juiced up, whatever, idiot. Like, you calling him a nobody's rude, but it's like fine. Like the game is the game in boxing. I said this last week. I'm kind of okay with a lot of things in boxing because it's a crazy sport. But
the Wild West.
Call him other things. Say, I don't know. Just say anything about him. Like,
it came second nature to him for a reason because he just showed his true colors
swiftly. Like it came out. So that was not the first time Billy Joe's had those.
Oh no. That's what do they call it when intrusive thoughts win? But we can't give energy to that. That's why we only give energy to seeing him getting buoyed off and all the other stuff.
Big up Napa, big up Morfire crew.
Come on, big up Morfire. Shout out Wolfen Forest. We're in the building. We're here. Come on, man. But the entrances. Now I can't lie. I liked, Conor Benn came out first. And, I liked how both sons paid homage to the fathers with their ring gear and their entrances. However, my thing was this. I can't lie. When Conor Benn came out, and it was because obviously it was the medley of songs, and then the reggae came on, I said, turn that off, man. I said, Conor don't know nothing about this. I said, Conor don't know nothing about this, bro.
Do you think you should be listening to Kylie Minogue in Sydney or something?
No,
in excess.
Do you know what? I like the homage paid, but Conor won't even bounce into that tune, man. I know he didn't grow up on that, man. He knew nothing about them type of tunes there, bro.
No hard food in Spain. He was just eating paella.
Yeah, listen, man. It's okay. We're not criticizing for you. Not if you don't know it, you don't know it. But it's just like, yo, let's not force it too much. I get the paying homage, but like, you don't know about them tunes there. You weren't, but you weren't, you weren't nodding his head to. You weren't vibes into that. You weren't, the rhythm weren't in check for him when them type of tunes were there. You were just playing it just to play it. But that's a whole nother, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother thing. And then Chris Jr. comes out, backed by Senior. Come on, man, Regal. And you know what I liked about Junior? Because Junior done the right type of medley. He came out, I think with a little bit of house music. Then it was simply the best to pay homage to his dad. And then he had like an interlude music. I don't even know what to call it. Then he had the live instrumentation of dun 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 dun. You know what I'm saying?
I was like, this is crazy. Yeah.
And I like that because it's the right amount of homage.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, but this is me.
It's nostalgia, but then it's like he's his own man. It's like I hugely respect what my dad and Nigel did. I'm gonna make sure everyone knows that with the ring shorts and a bit of the tune, but I'm not gonna let it supersede that it's me fighting.
Listen, man. Shout out Essex crew inside the building. Always love
the Johns and the Jacks, the Toms, all those guys who like wearing socks and stuff like that. The sun's come out as well, so I know I'll be seeing a lot of
Hey, come on, man. You know the legs are out. The legs are out 13 degrees, let alone 17.
Yeah. C2C, yeah.
Come on, man. East London with a man them up. So yeah, it was just like when the Steel Dre instrumental starts playing and you see Senior with I don't even know what to. The little Senior come through with his little shimmy to that music, and I was just like, nah. This occasion just feels. After that, dopamine through the roof. Like you see Senior, and bless him, Senior goes in there. I still think it's a bit of mind games. As much as he tried to come across as he's just being nice, he came in the ring. He hugged Nigel. I think that was genuine. Then he went to hug Conor, but I could tell he was being smart, and I feel that was a bit of mind games. I was just like, oh yeah, I'm being nice, but he's still Conor's trying to zone out. And he's going up to him, oh yeah, yes. Good luck, and he's trying to hug him. And I can tell Conor's kind of just like
some food and beverages post fight, Conor. And Conor's just like, big man, like
I can tell Conor's kind of just like, yo, I'm trying to zone out, and that's smart on Senior's point because Senior's trying to do that. Oh yeah, I'm just being nice, and I know deep down Senior's just like, I know this is gonna throw him off. He knows that's the man that lives by the Warriors code. He knows
Art of War. Yeah,
that's the dark arts right there. That has to be one of the most passive aggressive acts of war I've ever seen in a ring. He was just like
way too long as well. It wasn't like a quick fist bump.
Yeah, and Senior's gonna say, Senior doesn't just hug you. Senior gives you an embrace. He gives you a little chat. And I could tell, blessings to Conor, because Conor obviously is trying to be respectful. I'm sure Conor doesn't want to as much as Conor wants to tell him to F off, Conor's going to be respectful in that moment. And I think Senior also knows at the time, I know you're trying to get zoned out and I'm going to put you off your feng shui. And listen, that's the art. That's the art of war. Word to Cambosis. That's the art of war right there.
It really is. The ring entrances, honestly, I don't want to be too over the top, but top 5 that I've seen. I mean, I loved back in the day some of those Floyd Mayweather ones. I think him and Zab Judah basically came out to a 50 Cent song. It was awesome.
I don't know. Have I? Oh no. That 50 Cent. What was the I Get? Is that I Get Money?
No. I think it came out to like Many Met or
Straight to the Bank.
Yeah, something like that. He came out because they were friends, weren't they, at the time? So a few times. But Kell Brook as well. I think Kell Brook, Amir Khan.
That was special. Kell Brook.
Ben Whitaker's have been really good. I like. I think didn't
you know whose entrance I really liked? AJ's entrance against Klitschko. Even because at first I thought it was over the top, and I know what Eddie was. Now I look back and I said, all right, Eddie. Full credit, because Eddie made that feel like, yo, no, you guys think this is normal. Like, no, this is a big thing.
Absolutely.
We are going to make this a big, And that's one thing I always say. You can say what you want about Eddie. The guy knows how to put on a show.
Yeah, he's a PR guy. Very, very, very niche, but my actual global #1 favorite ever ring entrance is one of my favorites is George Groves. Is it Froch 2 when he had the bus coming out Spitfire by Prodigy as well? That was madness.
I might need to go back and watch that.
That was honestly, he comes out in a full London bus, like on top of a London madness. But the actual #1 is Corey Spinks when he fought, I think, Zab Judah, and he was the champion in St. Louis. It was like their first fight in 30 years. Comes out with Nelly, sang a whole track, danced the whole way on the ring apron. He's doing like full-on moves, like he's dancing for like minutes. I think Zab came out to like he'd just found God again, so Zab came out to like a gospel track. I'd say 4.5 minutes, like minimum. He had smoke going up, and in St. Louis, I think they're really famous for like arches or a bridge or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
The entrance looked like an arch. He had an arch on his back with St. Louis like underneath it.
Okay.
On it, the best one ever. I'm telling you, it is. Oh yeah. Well, Floyd had so many good ones because he had the OJs once as well, didn't Floyd? Yeah, I think Money, 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 or something like that. And they sang
money. No, Kel's one is when because the whole arena went dark, and then all of the lights, and then and I said,
you're right there. You need, for big fights, you need a level. Like that some ring entrances really just set off what's about to happen in the ring. Because
but you've got to get it right though, because I do feel like there is a point where it's a bit too much. Let's not make this too much of a spectacle. You've got to get the right balance of this is extravaganza, but you don't want to push it. I feel like this hit the right level of we're doing a lot, but not too much. So do you know what? We might have to do an off episode of the greatest boxing entrances. I'm sure there's a few that I'm forgetting that's going to kick me, but we go into the first round. Conor straight away comes out swinging like a madman. And I said, oh, he's got that premium eggs in his system, because I don't understand how you are going to fight like this. It was either two things. I think Conor wanted to test that with it. Wilder's against Fury was... That's throwing me off. That's hilarious. Shout out Ricky. But Conor, I don't know if he wanted to test out how bad the weight cut is. He came out first round like a man possessed. He even, like, technique went out the window. He said, I'm going to test your resolve off the bat. And Chris Jr., as experienced as he is, he showed his experience there. He just weathered that storm. And some people were giving Conor rounds on aggression. For me, I felt like most of the first few rounds were Chris. I feel like Chris done well, stuck with his jab, kept composed. He was landing the cleaner shots when, Conor was going in there flurrying with not the cleanest technique, but making it a war, which, to be fair, that's in his favor. He's not the technician, so go in there, make it a scrap. He can't go in there and try to box with him. He's got to fight him. And he tried to do that. For me, I still felt like, oh no, Chris is winning this. I felt like throughout the whole fight, Chris is winning this. Middle rounds, Chris then started making a clearer distance, cleaner boxing, hitting him with a jab. It was getting caught at times, but it was almost like, one thing about Chris Jr. we know, he doesn't have to, but he loves a scrap. Unfortunately, to his detriment, Chris loves a scrap. If Chris gets caught, for someone, there's that funny clip that's like being released of Lennox Lewis speaking with Chris Sr. and then Chris Sr.'s like, I don't want him to come on fire because what kid do you see coming from a middle/upper class background that has basically was insinuating they don't have that dog in them. Like, when have you ever seen someone from that background have that dog in them? When they get hit, they want to back out, which, to be fair to Senior,
I think it's actually true pretty much of a lot of things in life. Like, I think of it about myself, like, I don't come from much, but I have more than my parents do. And I think having not a lot when you're young, it just toughened. Like, it's a toughness that you can't it can't be built. It's like inbuilt within you. I think I said last time, I always remember when Adrian Broner said, I was brought up broke, like cereal and water broke. And you think, like, if a person can't afford milk to go with their cereal, not too much in boxing is going to phase them, or going those extra rounds, because they've been hungry, like real hungry, lights out sometimes, sharing beds with siblings, sharing rooms with siblings. That's tough. And you'd imagine Eubank had tough times, being like family, being immigrants into Brixton. I think 5 or 6 of them, they probably shared rooms. Like, it's hard to have that.
Do you know what's funny? You just remind me, there was a clip, not to go on the side quest too much. I remember there was a clip of Adrian Broner when he was younger. And then there's the interviewer like, oh, if you weren't boxing, what would you be doing it? And then he says something like, robbing people. And then the interviewer lady starts laughing, and Adrian's got like a serious look on his face, like, no. To your point, like, no, we're that broke. I'm robbing. Like, if this boxing don't work out, I'm robbing. And well, it's not really turned up too often right now, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, Christine,
I have to say, first 3 rounds though, I actually had Conor up. I had him 2-1 up.
Oh, serious?
Yeah. On aggression, I think he did catch him a few times, and I think don't want to go off on a tangent, but I think it's quite salient that I sound like a hypocrite here, but the rehydration and him struggling at the weight, and Conor coming up and being so well fueled and probably sleeping well and just having a great training camp, it actually did even things up. I don't think Chris put his foot on the gas early, because he was like, I know that I'm good. I'm 80% good, but my legs aren't. I'm a bit older, and I should actually just be able to kind of cruise this. But I don't think he was able to just kick in gear and meet Conor and push him back, because he was like, I don't want to just blow up. I'd prefer to maybe lose a couple of the early ones, but then really...
He was efficient. I think that's what's... Ricky, I'm going to have to go back to see that fight with Triple G and Canelo. I need to see that, because he's saying similarly, people are giving Triple G more rounds for being aggressive than Canelo. But I feel like with Chris Jr., for me, it was being efficient in the fact that I can't go in there and absolutely go to what I need to. It was almost like, I don't know how much gas is in the tank. That's what it felt like. It felt like he's driving a car and it's like, your gas meter is broken, so you can't even tell, okay, how much petrol do I really have right now? So let me drive at a decent pace. I can't go full throttle, but I'm not going to go too slow. And that's what Junior, for me, his experience shone through, where, because so many things came into culmination at that moment. I think his age started to show, where like, your body ain't going to move like it used to. Your reflexes ain't what they used to. Your speed ain't where it used to be. And at the same time, with age comes experience. So the experience just let him know, yo, use the pump, the jab. No need to like go into wars too early. And then halfway through the bout, that started to shine more, where he was just pumping a jab, straight punches were catching Ben. There was a wicked uppercut. And I remember thinking to myself, if this guy was able to be rehydrated properly, that might have put Ben out, because that he would hit him with a wicked uppercut. And then I went not even the later rounds, around round 8 or 9, is like the old Eubank came out, and it was almost like Chris said, if I've driven a car to this point, I'm just gonna balls to the wall, just run the tank down. He just decides to engage in a war of attrition, a war which me personally, and I think his coach come out to say after as well, he didn't like seeing, because they were winning with the formula that they were using up until that point. But Chris Jr. just decided he wanted to go in there and war with Conor Benn. And they just start slugging it out from, you could say, what, round 9?
Yeah, but 11 and 12 were absolutely wild. Just
war of attrition, round 9 to 12.
Chris got caught and was like swinging and not even looking at the target, and you could tell he was hurt. But it truly was. It was like something out of a film like Black Panther, where I don't know if either of them really will be able to replicate that again. It was, our dads are both watching, our fathers are in the corner. You are going to have to hammer me to the canvas, because trust me, because Conor by rights in the 12th round, some of those left hands he was taking against the ropes, like clean shots. You could tell he was stunned, but I can't back down. I might not win this fight. Well, he probably thought he was winning, but
yeah, but I'm going out of my shield. If I'm to go out, I'm going out of my shield
for sure. And yeah, but I did think, yeah, Chris was so efficient. He was just popping the jab out constantly, and then he began to old man him. He used his extra weight. He got him into positions.
Looking on the screen, viewers, so we can see certain things that they may not be able to see. And then there are certain times where I can tell that, oh, Chris is hurt, but he just had good poker face, will clinch him, and then right after clinching him, he will swing on him just to give that like facade of, oh no, I'm fine.
Yeah,
and I could tell that that's good warfare on his part, because he's just like, listen, just in case he thinks that this clinch is because I'm hurt, let me swing at him to make him think that I'm not.
Yeah.
And listen, man, there's a lot of times in that bout where he threw away his IQ. That was one of the moments where he actually used his boxing IQ, and it was just like, yeah, let him not think that I'm hurt, because there were some punches, and I was worried because obviously the rehydration clause as well. I'm there thinking, if he keeps on taking some of these cleaner punches, it's gonna be a sticky one. But kudos to him, man. Junior, he got to the end. But yeah, any before we talk about the post fight, any more comments regarding the rounds?
Well, interestingly, Chris outlanded him in every round, and I was going to ask you what your score was. I because I was in the pub and I didn't have the sound, and maybe imbibed a few.
I didn't listen to the commentators too much. It was just noise.
I heard Sky was an absolute joke. I heard that they ignored half of what Chris was doing, but
not only did they ignore half what Chris was doing, Conor Benn was not getting called for so many fouls, and I said, I saw elbows, I saw rabbit punches to the back of the head. There was another foul, headbutt, or quote unquote clash of heads.
I was actually going to disagree with you. I love the fact that it was a bit of a dirty fight, because I really thought the referee did a great job. That it was almost like,
nah, there were some fouls. I said, how are you not calling this?
Because it was everyone knew what it was. It was attritional warfare. Neither of them were engaging it. I saw one where Conor literally like pushes him in the face with his forearm.
Yeah, you know what it is? All certain fouls I'm okay with. Back of the head is where I'm just like, that's a specific foul. I'm just like, I do not like back of the head punches.
Chris didn't go too much either, because both of them were like, you can do this to me, I'm not backing. Like you know, I saw a few low blows from Conor, I think 1 or 2, and Chris just didn't like do anything, because he's like, yeah, you can punch me low, watch what happens in the next minute or two, because both of them were just, they knew that if you moan, you look soft, and neither of them wanted to look soft. So that there were late punches, there were punches on the break, there was forearms.
There was one punch on the break with Conor. The ref was just like, okay, you guys. Conor gave him a hook, and I remember thinking, Conor's gonna take advantage where he can. Fair enough. But when the ref didn't even call that hook on the break, I said, "Yo, what is?"
They both looked his way, and he just kind of went, "Okay," and box on. And it's just like, all right, you're not going to be properly refereeing. Let's.
I think that's what. Yeah, I think Junior started to realize that. That's when Junior started playing dirty, because I think Junior was fighting fair, and then when he saw, oh, that's what we're doing here.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You're gonna get the same rough and tumble as well. So
exactly, I'm gonna hold you, knowing that the ref's not gonna take a point off. He's barely gonna say anything. I'm just gonna have my own way. I did also love. I loved the fact that Junior just started to implement his game plan, and I don't think I did, but I think you could have an argument that from round 4 he won every single round.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. There may be like 1 or 2 you might give Conor. I think maybe like the 10th. There was one where he wobbled Chris a bit and punched him into the ropes.
It was 10, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's maybe the one where you might say, just on the damage of that, the optics of it.
I did give him that, but I'm saying like there is an argument, literally 4 to 12. So I know it's a promoter's job, but Eddie Hearn's saying two things. Firstly, that Conor is now the people's champ, as if he wasn't fighting the actual people's champ on the other side of the ring. And secondly, saying that, you know, when your promoter says that someone nicked it by a point, it means you lost.
Do you know what? Is oxymoron. I despise and love when Eddie does that.
Same. I can't deal with it, but there's a part of me that thinks this man could down your beer in front of you and go, mate, I don't know what, but it looks like it's your round next. Like, you don't have any beer left. And you'd just be like, Eddie, I went to the loo and I saw you finish the bottom half. You'd be like, no. That one must have been my one. He has like zero. You know, he said to Nigel that maybe your son's better than you. Maybe your son.
So, do you know what? There's a level of shamelessness that Eddie has,
Yeah.
I commend it, because I'm just like, if Eddie's on your side, my goodness, what a person you have on your side to promote you.
John Ryder could have beaten Canelo. I know Canelo might be the favourite, but if John catches him.
Listen, and that's a promoter. Even there's times when I love it and there's times I despise it. But what I will say is that's what you want from your promoter.
Oh.
You want your promoter to be bigging you up whenever things even when things are down, you want a promoter there that can big you up. And that's what Eddie done. But like you're saying, back to the scorecards, the boys are saying, I think I scored it the same as Eric, 116, 112. Ricky had similar. I think the official AI judge had it 117, 111, which I wouldn't have been mad at. I think that's probably, I think that would reflect my type of thoughts as well. I thought despite the scrap of Conor, despite the dog that he showed and, you know, the heart's not enough.
Close but clear. There was no, I don't see how you could give 6 rounds, definitely not 7 to Conor, but he was in every round and he was very competitive, but it's an odd one where it's like a clear 8-4, maybe 9-3, 7-5 at the closest, but no way could it be 6-all because
there was no 7-5 for me. It was 8-4 max.
Yeah, he just didn't win. He didn't win 6 rounds. There's nothing there to be said. But yeah, what a fight! Everything was perfect. The Eubank Senior coming out, the Billy Joe, the ring entrances. One of the very few big fights that lived up to what was said beforehand, which was, you know, it's going to be a war for the ages. And I don't know how a fight's can be better in Britain than what we at a kind of a high level. I don't know how good you're going to have to see a fight because of the names and the size and everything that came with it. So yeah,
here's my issue. Back to the title of the show, and you'll see it on the thumbnail. Bury the blood clot hatchet. I do not want to see this again. I don't want to listen. The score was settled. It was a score that didn't even need to be settled because, to be fair, the Eubank's already up 2-0 anyway. Ben deserves that. Maybe realize how much sperm.
Don't read the finals.
Casuals are going to be casual, so I don't even casuals. Do you know who those people that thought that Ben won? Those are the people that also think that they know how to fight and they absolutely haven't thrown a punch in like 20 years. They just see Conor acting aggressive, and do you know what it is that they relate to that whole thing of I'm not a technician, but I can scrap. That's what they see themselves in Conor. Hence why they're like, oh no. So what's that?
Very Football Factory, you know, like
like that's why they think he won. But let's have some parliamentary procedure.
We need muchos parliamentary. The procedure was parliamentary, and we need more of it.
Listen, there's not even a debate. But to that.
But sorry, you're completely right. And I thought Sunday morning, I was like, did I think it was as clear as it was? And that's why I was happy to rewatch it. And then I went on social media, and very, very, I'm going to say 10 to 20% of people want the rematch. Almost, it's one of the few times where my view aligned with everyone else's, which is, as you said, sorry to cut you off, it's 2-0 now to the Eubanks, 2-0-1 if you want.
No, 3-0.
No, it's 2. It was a draw. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right.
They're well clear. You can't even it up, even if you win the next one. We definitely don't want a trilogy. But it's kind of being done now. It was a clear win. I don't think you're going to get better overnight or in 4 to 6 months. I oddly think Chris might be even better. More time, Jonathan Banks, and let them both go on their own way. Chris's star will never be bigger. I want him to see him fight Canelo, and seriously, it could happen. He could fight Canelo.
The Canelo fight I like, but then also my thing is this: at 160, Chris Jr.'s done. His body is cooked. And I hope he gets the Canelo fight, because let's be honest, Chris is in that peculiar position where he's too small for middleweight. Sorry, he's too big for middleweight. He's too small for super middle.
He's a 165 guy. If
he wants to cash out, then let him cash out. But with that being said, I do not want to see this rematch, because that would involve Chris having to stay at weight class. That's not healthy. They're going to put in some stipulation once again to make it fair for Conor. Conor is a 147 fighter, maybe 154. For his own safety, stay at 147. And at this point, it's just like you cannot replicate magic. And I feel like we already know who's the reason behind this rematch potentially happening. And I feel like this is where, the events fall short in Saudi sometimes. It's because you try to replicate magic that you can't replicate certain things. You have to let things happen naturally. This has happened naturally.
Even the press conference, can't Conor and Nigel chat absolutely please if there's a second fight. I can't hear it from Eddie Hearn. Oh, well, it'll be different this time. What will be wait, has Chris lost an arm? I can't hear it. I can't hear. And I need to go on a quick tangent.
Go on.
I love Nigel Benn to death, but he needs to stop talking about sparring stories, because I do not need to see what happened on Saturday night and him lose relatively comfortably. But you tell me that Denzel Bentley was getting sparked out, William Skull quit because he couldn't handle my son, and this, that, and the other. What, isn't he, William Skull, like Dominican or Cuban? So you really think it's going to be the heat in Spain that does it to him? Like, don't firstly, sparring stories should never come out, but
and especially like someone like Skull with like the Cuban background. Those guys are notorious for not going hard in sparring, because that's just not how they like to spar, which I prefer that style of, 60%, but I'm not going to go over because we have to preserve ourselves for the match. You may have looked like you was getting the better of him, and he's probably just thinking, why am I going at 80% with Conor Benn?
I think I said before that, oddly, Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn are almost very similar in that. Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely agree. Legs are gone.
Yeah, legs are definitely gone, and that's why he had to scrap it out. That they're both really dangerous in sparring, because they are those kind of super, super fit, really aggressive. You put your head guard on, and it means you can't get hurt, so you're just going to be able to dominate someone. And the other guy who might be a technical fighter is like, yeah, well, I worked on my jab and my backhand for 3 rounds, and then I tried to use movement. And Conor's like, yeah, well, I almost sparked him out, didn't I? I almost had him on the ropes. And the other guy's like, yeah, because I was working on footwork for a few rounds. And just don't talk about sparring. And I love Denzel Bentley, and he didn't come against Nigel Benn because he knows he can't. Conor and Nigel are huge stars. If you go back,
Denzel played his role. He knew what
was up. But yeah, after seeing that performance, do I think that Denzel Bentley, who looks like a 170, like he's a big guy, that Conor just had his own way with him after what we saw? Come on.
Like, do you know what's
there needed to be more parliamentary procedure there. 100%. That was unparliamentary. That there was no Keir Starmer there. No. That was very Elon Musk. That was very Donald Trump.
Oh my gosh! What's worse is the fact that Senior come down a bit more. Do you know what's crazy? Because obviously, I'm sure for the occasion, Senior was happy because he was just like, do you know what, the fight's going on, so let me support it. He is gonna go ballistic, and they might fall out again if Junior decides to keep on doing this.
I actually think it's the main reason the fight won't happen. I think Chris will go to Turkey and say, I can't do this anymore. If it goes to 165, maybe, but obviously that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think his dad gave him a chance, and some people have been saying they're actually properly talking again. It wasn't just for the fight night, like the relationship's repairing, and clearly said, like a parent would do, I've given you one chance tonight. I'm here. We need to win. We're going to win.
But allow it.
Ting na run, like as they say, like it can't happen because it's dangerous for him. And rehydration clause, Lord, if he's at 160, we cannot have a rehydration. I think the British Boxing Board might step in and say, you're not fighting for a title, so we're not going to sanction this if you try and make him.
Especially like Tezatomundo said earlier on, 6th round, you're not even sweating. Your legs. Do you know how crazy it is to fight at that intensity? You're not even sweating. Legs are gone. Yeah, no power. Like there were certain shots that should have put Ben out.
He was tapping. He was tapping with them because he and everyone said that in the 12th round that he was landing clean, but there wasn't too much power behind it because the body had drained. And you're being accurate, but it's slower and it's accurate. But it's not swift and it's not snappy, so you can kind of take the punch. It shouldn't, and I hope it doesn't happen again. I like to think into the future. If I could, I can't want this more for Chris than he wants for himself, but I would love him to fight for the vacant, because I think Canelo might, I think he's going undisputed and then he's going to give up the belt. Someone said that he's not.
Canelo saying he wants to fight in the UK, so who better to welcome him?
Let him give up a belt or two. Let Chris get a vacant belt, and then they can fight for undisputed.
Let it go.
I know. I told you it won't happen, but I know that they think that Crawford happens in September, so he may need it into him, and I hope he literally fights someone I've never heard of, because I don't want
Chris is never fighting for that guy knows he's a cash cow. Listen, even if it's Canelo with belts dropped, Canelo wants to fight in the UK. I think he's seen like the Wembley Stadium nights, and he's probably said to himself, all right, I want an arena night. And Wembley, then at the same, stadiums. You see stadium, and Chris Eubank is the perfect opponent where it's just like, you know what? Let me just have a fun fight in the UK.
Legacy, name, Canelo wins. It'll be huge. Like
Eubank gets his final cash out because he's already commented saying
big payday.
Big payday. He's probably gone to fight Jake Paul after. Like for me,
it might be 12-15 mil. Like if he fights Canelo, I think it's going to be huge.
I'm not even gonna. I can't imagine, because especially with Canelo at this stage of his career, we know that he's on his way out as well. So
let me run this for you. Let me just put it into the future. Cinco de Mayo next year, May 2nd or May the 1st, 2026. Canelo Eubank, Wembley, money. And because of the level that Chris is at, but also his father is, Lennox Lewis could be there. AJ, all of the greats we just spoke about. Chris, I think, is friends, or his dad is friends with Amir Khan. I know they have a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
He knows David Haye, he knows AJ. So when you have those level of people in the audience, or maybe they're talking about the fight pre-fight, just keeps driving numbers. All it does is just keep driving numbers. And to hear his dad go, yes, my son can beat Canelo. We've always believed it.
He's going to say this is the weight class he should have always been at. Yada, yada. Listen.
You have never seen him fully hydrated.
Canelo's absolutely going to batter him.
Oh, yeah.
However, actually, I think it might be a carry job.
Yeah. I don't think you want to knock him out because of the legacies and the money and everything.
Yeah.
He might not be happy with it, but I think he drills him for 6 rounds, and then he goes, yeah, let's just slow down the pace and let's just have a good last 6 rounds, like a little exhibition, little spar. I mean, it would be it. I think we might be Turkey already, because this is what everyone wants to see. Just can you?
I was gonna say, moving forward for Ben, 154 or 147.
I think he can get down to 147. I really didn't think so, but he was 156 on the scales, and that's 156 with like eating real food. He was probably having Nando's the day before. He probably had scrambled. Genuine. So that means you're probably 152 with any kind of baby cut. Like, you just don't eat for 2 days. So I think he can. 7 pounds is if he'd have come full limit and struggling, maybe not. But I think, like I say, 152, let's say, without a day or two's meals, and then obviously the final bit's a bit tougher, but everyone goes through it. He's smaller than Josh Taylor is, and a lot of those, I think he might be smaller than Jack Cattrall, those kind of guys who are, Tio's a big guy too, and even Ryan's a big guy, and so I think he can.
Here's my thing: 147. I know Eddie's trying to do putting his name next to Boots. We already know he's not going to face Boots. It's not happening. However, how long can they hold off for Barrios? Because my thing is as well, if Boots is saying he wants to become undisputed, now Eddie's in a conflict of interest. Do you get Boots that unification with Barrios since what's the other guy that keeps running away? Since Norman's running away.
Norman Jr.
Norman Jr. keeps on running away from Boots. So
I'm not going to be that harsh on him. I think he is being strategic to get the most amount of money he can. I think
no. Let's not do that. That guy was offered more than 10 times. To get offered more than 10 times what you're already on.
And he probably thinks if he fights one more fight, he'll get 3.5 million rather than 2 million.
No.
It's business as well. It's a business.
Listen, it's my thing is this, and I've said this for a while. As extravagant as boxing looks sometimes, there's no money in it. Where does he? I don't even know if Boots is getting paid that much, let alone Norman, who's on. And I don't want to ever talk down boxers' value because it's a harsh sport and it's hard, and I always want people to get their money. But I'm sorry, if you're on 150, if your own promoter's giving you 150k max and putting you on the undercard of Mayer and bloody, who's the other undercard? It was on Keyshawn's undercard. And your like promoters like, yo, I'm not even giving you more than 150.
He's coming
Why
home.
the hell do you think that you getting 10 times? And, you know, the dad was all like, oh, yeah, but after taxes and the splits, he's not even going to have $1 million, which I understand it. I understand the frustration. But now you're doing that with 150k. So that's even going to be even less.
He's probably making 60 grand a fight, like as in coming home. Because after you pay, I know his dad's his trainer, but trainer, nutritionist, physios, there's so many things you have to, even food, things like that. Probably coming out with clear 60, which is, don't get me wrong, I would love to have 60 grand right now, but equivalently,
for a world level fighter,
especially when boxing is a finite career. So for most of us, hopefully our careers, we earn more as we get older. He's going to be done in, I don't know how old he is, but let's say he's 26. He'll be done in 7 years. So he needs to maximize his career earnings. It's not like he's going to be earning this at 50 or more.
And I'm not trying to be funny. There is no fight that he's going to fight that's going to get him more P's. And even with Boots, as you know, even though the trajectory that he's on, 147 is not going to make him the money fights.
No.
So, like, to think that Boots is getting you this big payday, he's getting you a bigger payday than you've had before. But I don't even think Boots is getting as much money. Or if Boots is getting big money, Eddie's basically overpaying on an investment, hoping that it cashes out later on.
Eddie's already said that. He said that, I think the Stanionis fight, he made a bit of money, or, you know, it was a good, but he said the first fight or two, he lost money on him because I think his guarantees are 7 figures. I think he's got $1 million minimum guarantee, probably a bit more. And yeah, you're selling serious tickets and you're doing big, but he thinks that Boots might be the next big American star, and to have that be worth it, because
he would need to go up a division. But that's what I'm looking back at the Norman fight. Like, Norman, you're not going to be the guy to, no disrespect, you're not going to be the guy to, like.
Yeah, Conor needs to be very well managed though, and this is I'm not like, the man has earned my respect after the weekend, but I'm just trying to be objective and realistic. He can't is a strong word. He won't beat Boots if he fights him. I'm not sure if he beats Brian Moore.
Boots is not happening. Barrios, the only time I see him potentially beating Barrios is simply because Barrios decides to engage in a
I
war
think
as
he beats
well.
Barrios. Although I've heard that Barrios might be fighting Manny Pacquiao this summer, which would be crazy.
It's not listen,
Old Senator Manny, so we'll see.
Manny Pacquiao, I genuinely pray that he gets the help that he needs.
He may beat him. Pacquiao might beat him. Pacquiao is
No.
he's a
Take that.
superstar.
Listen, to paraphrase Adrian Broner, take the L out of lover. It's over, brother. It's done. Pacquiao is done.
We'll see.
It is done. I'm
But you're right, though.
sorry.
He needs to be very smart at getting Barrios because, again, maybe he doesn't earn a lot, so he'll take the fight. I'm leveraging this. I'm going, yeah, if you want to buy this belt off me, I'm not fighting in England unless you want to pay me like 40% more than you've offered me. I'm going to fight in America if I do take the fight because he might be allowed a you know, it's not just we'll just fight Barrios, like we'll just have him whenever we want. I think they're going to need to, because there'll be everyone wants Barrios, don't they? They all think that they can beat him. So
you got to remember as well, with Haney and Garcia moving up as well, they're going to soon want some welterweight belts as well. So yeah. I'm saying
that's why he needs to be quick. That's why he needs to be quick. Tio, Haney, I know they spoke about the fight.
Tio, man. We don't need to worry about that guy.
I think Ricky. I think Garcia could beat him. I think you could clip him with that left hook, and that is.
Wait, beat who?
Ryan Garcia could beat Conor Benn.
Oh yeah. Sorry. I thought you.
He's already spoken about it. He said, and I think the other point I was going to make is, I think later in his career, Conor's going to become an exhibition fighter, a bit like Chris has become. As in, he's going to fight these massive names, but actually aren't as good as they used to be. But their name rings bells, and it brings him loads of money.
Chris Jr. learned after that. I think was it the George Groves fight. Chris Jr. just realized, I've got a big name. Let me just get cash because.
I think he might fight Josh Taylor, and I don't want to disparage Josh Taylor, but in a year or two, Josh might be even older and stuff like that. Josh was a fantastic fighter, but he's got a big name, and at 36, after all the kind of weight gain and the up and down and the injuries, that could be a fight. Because again, Conor similar to Chris, maybe David Haye at the back end of his career. You don't want to be fighting lower, unknown people who are really technically good. Go and fight someone who used to be really good with a massive name and. Denzel Bentley said it. He was like, "I'd love to fight Chris Eubank Jr." He was like, "I don't have the profile to like." He knows what.
Yeah, he's realistic.
You get from
that's why he sparred with Conor. Just obviously try to see if Chris will bite the bait. I like that Conor Benn versus Harlem Eubank. I think that is a big fight.
Yeah, massive. I'm putting my stall out. I think Harlem's going to beat him. I think Harlem is quite technical. Like he's decent and he's very methodical. I think he would listen to Adam Booth. I
think Harlem would beat him, but there is a case of getting screwed over by judges.
He'd get screwed. He'd get screwed. He'd win 8-4, and it'd be like Conor's won by a point, and everyone would just be like, "Did he though?" But in a fair fight, in terms of actual,
in a fair fight, Harlem might,
because
for me, that's the fight to fit. I'm sure Senior's probably going to start bargaining for like. If you want to fight next Eubank, Harlem's the guy to go to next. So,
and I'd be
happy.
Harlem's a good fighter, so that'd be with Conor's rankings as well. Harlem should definitely take it, and it would sell. It would sell the O2 maybe.
Wembley. Yeah, I'd say that's a good
Dad around, Chris around, Junior being able to just pipe up, pretending he was his manager, just being like, well. You don't beat Eubanks. We all know that. Like you guys just can't. It's a waste of time. And Conor having to just be all aggy, just go, yeah, well, you're double my height, mate, and I almost knocked you out. And Chris just being like, yeah, but you didn't though, did you?
Listen. There is a plethora of fights. We can even go into discussion of Turkey saying he's got Tottenham Stadium booked again for September, but. That would only probably go on to another hour, and I'm sure we'd both love to do it. But it's also Champions League night, so for the wonderful people that's tuned in, thanks for joining us. I think we'll conclude it with this: if Conor goes to 147, him versus Harlem Eubank is a great fight to make. That for me is a great fight to make. If you want revenge on a Eubank, you gotta go through Harlem now because you've lost a chance with Chris. So I think, and I would love for Harlem to get the spotlight as well. So we got to start campaigning that. Why does Eubank Jr. look like Fraser Clark in that?
Ricky, that is not.
Wait, which one? I don't even know which photo. I need to see this.
It can't be that one.
That one slightly. No, it's not that one. It maybe him with the punched up face and the puffer
Yeah, I
face.
think it must be that.
Yeah. But yeah, let's listen. We'll end it with this. I'm campaigning for Harlem Eubank vs Benn. That is the fight to make. But people, love and guidance as always. And before we go, Ashanti, any parting words?
Thank you for having me on, and the procedure has been parliamentary as always.
Ja Rastafari. People, love as always. Like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell another friend. And until then, we're out.
It's another band. All the mass and cars now, whichever get up. I thought my card with a sweet one place. Someone flex me a bag it up.